So, what is design thinking? Really simply, design thinking is a philosophy and a set of tools that help you solve problems with creative and critical solutions. And when a company or a team or a designer is really trying to solve a problem, more often than not, they're using some form of design thinking. It's a great introduction to design, and it'll really help you get a hands-on experience and understand the design process and what goes into designing anything really. Because design thinking can really be applied to any kind of problem, whether it's design related or not. Even if it becomes apparent that design thinking isn't for you or design isn't for you, you'll still be able to sort of see the world under a new light and develop some more empathy too. So design thinking helps you get to the solution of your problem. And there are many processes that are similar that help you solve problems. Um, but design thinking is really the only one that helps you dive deep into who your user is to solve that problem creatively. And it really puts your user first, or your customer, or whoever your audience may be, first for sort of every decision and every solution you make. Because at the end of the day, when you have a happy customer or a happy user, that makes your life a lot easier. And you'll have a much more successful product or service or redesign of whatever you may choose for this project. And so there are 5 steps to design thinking. The first one is empathy. And this is really all about discovering who your customer or user really is, what they're after, what kind of problems they may have, and what they do, and almost everything about who they are. And you're really just trying to sort of understand everything about them and how they may use your product, service, or redesign. You can do this through user testing or other means of research as well. But this is really where you're asking questions like why, who, what, where, and when. Step number 2 is define. So really what you're doing is taking everything that you learned in step number 1 and defining it and sort of creating definitions and conclusions based off of what you learned. And some of these definitions may be sort of around, for example, what are the user's needs? What are their problems? What are their challenges? And really, what are the insights that we can take from these interviews and use to sort of understand the problems and then start to think about how we can create solutions as well. So now is step 3, ideate. And in this step, really what you're doing is taking everything that you learned in the first 2 steps and creating ideas and solutions to these problems that you defined. And most of these solutions should really revolve around what was learned in the first 2 stages, so empathy and defining. There's no such thing as bad ideas in this stage, and you're really just trying to get everything out there so you can best understand what to use. And this is really sort of the brainstorm phase. And step number 4 is prototype. So prototyping is really just taking everything, including your ideas from the previous 3 stages, and really refining them into prototypes that you can use. Now, these prototypes usually aren't at 100%, but it's really to put it into your user's hands or however they may use this product or service so you can start to sort of understand a little bit more and how to improve these prototypes. This is really where you take your ideas and figure out what is worth taking to the next step and really creating. These prototypes should be designed with the intent of testing. And now we're going on to the final step, which is test. And the point of this is so you can understand how your user might interact with whatever you have designed and if it's successful or not. And you will learn a lot, and you're really sort of just trying to put whatever you have conceived into the hands of your user. And now once you have a bit of an idea for how your user might understand, interact with, and use your product, service, whatever it is, you then go back through the different steps. It's not just sort of like you go through it once and you're done. It's an iterative process that needs work. So you go back to empathy or the definition stage, define, sorry, ideate, prototype, and you keep on going through these stages until you've figured out that this is this is it. This is the perfect solution. And that's really what we'll be spending the most of our time on throughout this course. I think this is a great introduction into what design is, as you're really going to get your hands dirty and get into it. That is the process and sort of what design is really all about.